Hi everyone, and welcome to a brand new Vane devlog. If you've not wishlisted the game yet on Steam, we encourage you to do that because it gives us more visibility. If you have already, thank you. There's no game update accompanying this one, as this update needs some more time in the oven. We've got a lot to cover in this one, so we're going to jump right into it. As part of a larger update, we've begun replacing our placeholder furniture with much higher quality assets. This is still work in progress and will take a bit of time, but we feel like it's worth it to make our game look a little bit less dated. You can expect living room, kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom assets to be mostly replaced. In the same vein, we have upsized some of our textures. We imposed a forced texture size limit early on the vast majority of textures in the game to limit the file size and improve performance while the game's in development. We've started restoring some original resolution textures to the game for frequently seen surfaces like walls, floors, and furniture. We've balanced and smoothed out how hordes work. Hordes will generally not spawn for the first week in game or so, and gradually ramp up over time. In addition, we fixed a pretty bad bug everyone was experiencing where if a horde was very severe, it would last forever, even after the player died. Sorry to those unfortunate players. In addition, hordes can now be avoided by traveling far enough away from where the horde was triggered. We've added a feature that allows you to kill all the zombies in an area. Killing a zombie will reduce the quantity available to the AI spawner in the immediate vicinity. If you kill enough zombies, they will appear less and less in an area. For balance and gameplay reasons, zombies will then bleed into the area you killed all the zombies in from neighboring areas, restoring their head count. This happens quite slowly, however. We rewrote zombie navigation. There were a few bugs causing them to stop in place or be unable to track you properly if you stood still or you were on a roof or something. They now beeline towards you, as you might expect, and can solve complex pathfinding problems. We've split out the demo for Vane from the main game. We want to be transparent as possible about what this means. The limitations on the demo, which admittedly are subject to change, are firstly that the demo's world is limited to Redford, Saranac, and the surrounding wilderness. Secondly, all stats are maxed out at 50 instead of 100. We want to be clear that the demo will remain up forever and continue to get the same gameplay updates and fixes as the main game. There won't be any restrictions on playtime, and there will be crossplay with the main game. So if you own Vane and want to play with a friend who doesn't own it, they can play with you via the demo. They'll just have the demo's restrictions. We've replaced blocking with a quick melee or shove. This is meant to knock back zombies if you're out of stamina as a last resort. You can melee while holding a throwable item or firearm as well. It's pretty self-explanatory, you've probably seen it in many games. We've been modifying how melee feels a bit. We added some more impact effects and animation changes to make impacts feel a bit more satisfying in connecting with enemies. We've begun working with a composer, Alyosha Gunther, to create some original music for our soundtrack. Hopefully soon we can replace our placeholder music with original compositions. The first, the Vane theme, is already in-game, played in the main menu. We added the ability based on your construction stat to study existing furniture in the world and build it. After learning how to build a piece of furniture, it'll appear in your construction menu. This isn't going to be on all furniture, just common ones like couches, chairs, and bookcases, but again, it's a popular player request. Raincoats are now functional and protect against getting wet from rain. We made the farming UI a bit more functional. You can now select seeds directly from the farming plot. We started work on towing vehicles. A lot of people requested this so they could hoard vehicles at their base without running back. However, due to some crashes from Unreal's physics constraint system, we are backlogging this until Epic fixes it. Kerosene canisters can now be added to or emptied. These are used to refill kerosene lamps to keep warm during the harsh upstate New York winters. We fixed a bug in our sky. It turns out the sky was several times brighter than it was meant to be, causing it to seem blown out and affecting HDR. Lighting in the game is now more balanced, smooth, and realistic. We also modified our nighttime lighting to be a bit foggier and less blue. We've done some work behind the scenes on making explosions more unique and dependent on what exploded. We'd like a grenade explosion to behave differently from a vehicle explosion, and this allows us to do that. IDs and debit cards are now actually IDs and debit cards. We added some new feedback effects to hot wiring to better indicate what's happening. We've improved the repair workbench's UI significantly by adding error reasons, tooltips, stat checks directly in the UI, etc. We added scope glint. This is a mechanic found in many modern FPS games, where if a scope is directly facing you from far away, you can see a bright flash from the scope reflecting in your eyes. Some occupations, like doctors or firefighters, now start knowing their blood type. Street signs can now be knocked over by vehicles to make driving a bit easier. They respawn after a while, so you can still use them for directions. We added the ability to label containers and have the container text appear on the actual container. As part of this, some of our text rendering systems were rewritten, and now support text decoration and color. We're not sure to what extent we can use this, but if you have any ideas for color to use options, let us know in the comments. You can now copy your character's appearance from the character menu in case you want to clone a character's appearance into another save game. We fixed a long-standing issue where player corpses despawned. It turns out they weren't actually despawning, but the world was, so what happened was their corpse fell into the infinite void underneath the landscape until it got removed by the game for being under the map. Corpses should now remain where they lie. The sun now rises in the east instead of the west. I'm surprised that this was only reported a week or two ago, but more than that, I'm disappointed in myself for not noticing this personally. We've done some work on quests, particularly the first quest that's slated to be added to the game, the tutorial. We have a lot of work to do on it to make sure it functions properly, but you can expect the tutorial to be in the game in the next update or two. We clamped the time the apocalypse starts, 2033. Some clever players were using the admin tools to set the time to before the apocalypse and avoid zombies altogether. Not anymore. Dedicated servers now freeze time if there are no players online. We noticed a lot of servers out there were several years after the apocalypse, and we want servers to progress time as players would expect. This is optional, of course, so if a server host wants time to progress 24/7, they have a setting for it. Firearms now tell you what they're chambered in. It's a small detail, but helps when scavenging ammo. We improved the third-person cameras for several large vehicles. They are now higher at a better angle for visibility. It's now difficult, depending on your strength level, to exit or enter submerged vehicles due to water pressure. We improved the movement system. If you are traveling on top of a train or a vehicle, you can now jump without being sent flying. We're not sure if we'll keep this as it can present some weird scenarios, but for now it improves the experience of standing in or on a moving vehicle. Fluid acceptors, like in stoves or when watering plants, now prompt you asking how much fluid you want to add. To water a plant to 100% hydrated before, you had to drag a water bottle on it 10 times. Now you can do it once and fill the plot to capacity. Furniture now has health, and zombies attack it if they're blocked by it. We saw a bunch of you clever people putting shelves or chairs in front of doors to create impenetrable blockades. Not anymore. We added a link to the roadmap in the main menu. By the way, did you know we've had a roadmap for a while? It's linked in the description if you want to take a look. We added a ton of new item use animations for medical and food items. These are networked and synced in multiplayer, so you can see people eating or drinking, taking pills, etc. We've done a bit of work, as we do with every update, implementing some more stats and stat perks. You can now exercise in place by doing push-ups, jumping jacks, etc. This has a similar effect to exercising with a bar in that it improves strength and endurance at the cost of getting tired. Different exercises have different effects. We'd like to implement some more flexibility ones like yoga to reduce stress, for example. You can now move containers. This is still work in progress, and I expect there to be bugs we've yet to discover from it, but it's been requested by you guys forever, so there you go. You can now stick a fork in electrical outlets. Good job. And finally, as always, we spent a good amount of time fixing bugs. Desync in multiplayer is still a problem, as well as a few others, but we've made huge progress towards making the game bug-free. That's it for this devlog. As always, thank you for being a part of the development process. If you haven't wishlisted the game on Steam, please do so, and if you are able, consider donating to help fund the server costs. We don't have any funding whatsoever outside of your contributions, so every little bit helps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.